Nearly 10 years since it vanished, there is renewed interest in Malaysia Airlines Flight 370, with researchers now eyeing a specific sea creature that could be key in finding it. This case has gone cold since 2017. That's when search efforts were just called off over the Indian Ocean. MH370 vanished in March 2014 with 239 passengers and crew on board, flying from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing. Air traffic control had its last communication with the plane 38 minutes after takeoff, before everything went silent. The Malaysian government has since said it will not restart the search efforts without new evidence that is both, quote, new and credible. Well, now researchers are starting to look at barnacles, which are growing on some parts of the airplane wreckage that was recovered, giving scientists promising evidence in reconstructing drift paths of ocean debris. So journalist and author of The Taking of MH370, Jeff Wise, joins us now to talk more about this potential new crack in the case. Jeff, thank you so much for your time. First of all, do you think this new potential clue, will reinvigorate interest in the story? Do you think we'll see search teams start looking again?
It's certainly possible. I mean, this is another twist in what has been a saga with lots of twists and turns. These interesting creatures, they're called Lepus anatifera, or goose barnacles, because they have necks that kind of look like geese necks. They grow on anything that floats across the ocean, and they especially thrive in the open ocean. And several pieces of debris, including the first and most famous one that turned up on La Réunion in 2015, are covered in these barnacles. And it's kind of exciting for scientists and for investigators looking at this crash, because these barnacles are actually like sort of nature's own flight data recorders, in the sense that they record aspects of the environment that they float through. And so, for instance, scientists can use them by measuring the chemical composition of their shells to figure out what the temperature of the water that they floated through. And they can sort of look at, for instance, sea turtles that might have these things growing on their back and say, okay, where did this sea turtle migrate from and where it was going to? So when they found these pieces of debris and they had some of these Lepus barnacles on them, they got very excited right away and said, okay, this can tell us where the plane went down, because, you know, famously, I'm sure everyone knows, but the plane disappeared from radar back in March of 2014, and the electronic signals it sent indicated that it went into the southern Indian Ocean. But after years and years and hundreds of millions of dollars of looking, investigators were unable to find the wreckage. So where is it? Where did the plane go? These barnacles could provide a clue.
And the ocean is so vast. We know that that's why the search ultimately was called off. But Jeff, what is it about this plane that interests people so much? Is it just the fact that it seems to have disappeared?
Well, I like to say that the closer you look at this mystery, the weirder it gets. And you mentioned earlier that the reason that they called out the search just because the ocean is so big. That's actually not right. The ocean is big, true, but the signals that were collected have a precision to them, so that they tell the investigators how big an area they need to look in. That area was searched, and far beyond that area was searched, the plane wasn't there. So there's a central conundrum to the mystery of MH370, which is the signals say that the plane went to this particular part of the ocean, and yet it's not there. How do we explain that contradiction?
Right, and it is so difficult. I started to watch one of the documentaries on this. I know there's been so much coverage on this, and it is really fascinating, because you said there's so many mysteries, or what seems to be mysteries in connection to this. Jeff, obviously, as you know, there are so many theories about what could have happened to this plane. You know, nobody really obviously knows. What is your best guess?
Well, there's really two things that could have happened to it. There's lots of theories that people throw out there, but those are really kind of uninformed speculation, I would say. If you look at the hard data, and this is really a technical mystery at heart, involves the mathematical analysis of these signals sent by the plane, there's really only two possibilities. Either the plane went south into the southern Indian Ocean, although that raises questions of why it hasn't been found, or the alternative possibility is that it was hijacked and went north into Kazakhstan. So it's one of those two things. Both of them are weird. Both of them involve very different kind of mechanisms for how these signals were generated. I talk about it in the Netflix documentary that came out in March, MH370, the plane that disappeared. It's really a deep, deep subject, and there's a lot of technical aspects to it, but it is fascinating and I think very important.
And just really quickly, do you think we will ever know the answer?
Yes, I think we will.
All right. Well, there you go. All right, Jeff Wise, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.